Join us, friends.
Great Scott, Spa Guy. Do they know what we have in store for them?
They will if they tighten up.
And don't double dribble. To the Grey Ghost, Spa Guy?
Exactly, old chum. No time to waste. To the Grey Ghost. We have not a minute to spare. It's showtime, friends. All right. It is the Spa Guy, and it is not Globetrotting with Trey. Because, you know, Trey's doing what Trey do. Trey go out and do Trey stuff. Let's just say that. And so he is actually not here tonight, sadly. And the Conquistador is actually not here tonight, sadly. I'm going to turn this up so you can see me. But still, don't forget to go to Globetrotting with Trey on YouTube or on TikTok, or Spa Guy and Spa Guy YouTube or on TikTok, or Spa Guy on YouTube. Don't forget that. And but still, even though the Conquistador and the Globetrotter are not here with us, we still do not want any bananas. No, we don't. No, we don't.
What is it with you, lady? You some kind of banana?
So this is anti-banana zone right here, and it is in fact no banana zone.
We're off the grid and over the hill, and not quite all the way to Hollywood, but pretty darn close to where it.
So that's an ode to Globetrotter, who is not here.
You think that you'd find it? It's the place that they try to hide it. I got a good feeling you'll see what it's like today, 'cause you're globetrotting with Trey.
We can't let this go without the Conquistador. But sadly, the Conquistador is not here either. Anything? The Conquistador is not here for the show, friends. Daggone it. So I wonder what I'm going to do. You know what? I got an idea. I'm going to bring in a friend of mine. Here we go. We have Good Stuff with David Gould. And hello, David. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. It sounds like somebody's double dribbling out there.
Man, they're double dribbling. They're Conquistador, and they're doing this and that, not showing up. And kind of got me in a little bit of a bind. I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. You know, it's
Guess the dead of winter, nothing's happening in the world.
Yeah, there's really nothing going on in the world. I agree with that. And by the way, the Conquistador's mother, I don't know if it's okay with me to say this, but I'm going to say it because pray for his mom. She's in and out of the hospital, got some things going on. So that's why the Conquistador's not with us. Trey is not with us because he's out doing what Trey do, as I said. And he's globetrotting. So it just did not work out this time for this week where we could get those two guys on. Just a series of things. I almost was in trouble, as you know, David, where I had to drive to Arkansas. And so I didn't know what I was going to do about this week's podcast because it was a last minute thing. I was sent a letter saying that I needed to be in Arkansas February 21st. Then a couple of days ago, I got a call or a text. Actually, it was an email saying that I needed to be there January the 21st. And I'm like, wait a minute. Your letter said February 21st. And they were like, well, we just messed up. Sorry. Can you be here in 24 hours? And the answer, I finally just had to go, look, dude, you know, we got a potential snowstorm coming. I've got all kinds of things going on. The answer is no, I cannot go. You're just going to have to figure it out. And he did, luckily. And so that's a whole story for a whole different day. But anyway, I wanted to first take this opportunity. Many of you have seen David before. If you've watched the podcast for a long time, he's been in some podcasts. I don't even remember when, David. Was it season 3, season 2? Probably all seasons, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, a little bit along. So this is season 4. And David has a couple of channels. One is Good Stuff on YouTube. and then you also have a Good Stuff TikTok.
Yes.
And what else? Instagram?
No, I don't really do Instagram. If I was a 14-year-old girl, I probably would have an Instagram.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's
what I would say.
That's good. So, but the main two things you're doing is TikTok and YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
And what David does is very similar to what I do. He goes out and does different things from a standpoint of things that are interesting to him, just, history things, interesting stuff, that stuff. And all of his stuff is, in fact, good stuff. So therein lies the name. And I also wanted to take this opportunity for those of you that don't know, David and I work together at the Spa Guy. If it was not for David Gould, the Tiger Man could not exist. David covered for me in 2021 and in 2024 when I was gone, or 2025 actually, when I was gone quite a bit, working on the dojo and building it and then rebuilding it. And if it wasn't for David covering for me, I could not have gone and done those two things. So many thanks, David, for that sacrifice and making sure that happened. It means a lot. And
it was it was really hard not having you there every day talking to me, telling me what to do, and it was a sacrifice on my part.
I
as
get
you
it.
can imagine. When you left, all the wisdom left. It was just it was like Lord. A vacuum. Yeah.
Oh Lord. No, David does very well, handles it, and when I'm gone, and I feel bad because I feel like I'm all the time just going, well, David, I got to go do this, but man, we're trying to live life, and part of that is the way that David and I work together, and I hope you would concur with this. Is my philosophy with it is I don't care how you get it done, let's just get it done. I don't care when you work or don't work. If you don't have anything to do, just go home. I'm good. Just do what you get the work done. The rest of it doesn't matter. We don't really have set hours exactly. In fact, over the years, I think, David, how long have you been with me? It's been over 10 years.
Yeah. Like 2014, 15.
Yeah. So it's a good ways. And I think you have seen a drastic change over those years from the beginning to now. In the beginning, I was pretty stringent, and man, I've mellowed out in my old age a little bit. And, of course, we don't have all the employees that we had back then either. When you came aboard, there was a lot of people. It was a big operation, and I talked about this in a recent podcast about that. A guy told me that you make about 80% of your money off of 20% of what your business does after it's got some age to it. Yeah. The key to it is figuring out what that 20% is making you the money and getting rid of the rest of it. And so we made those transitions, and you were there along the way, and you're really the only surviving employee from that.
I'm the only sucker left is what you're trying to say.
Everybody else is gone, but you know what? It works. When David needs to be gone, I cover. When I need to be gone, David covers. Yeah. And he has carte blanche to be gone ever when he wants to, and that's good. And so I thought maybe we would talk about, there's several different things that we could talk about. I love we have the travel bell. So I love to travel, and I know you do as well. Yeah. So there's a place that I've not been as far as the Elvis history goes. That's a place that is very, very important to Elvis history. And I've not been able to make my way there yet. Let's talk about Hawaii. Is that something that we could probably make some hay with?
I could make something up about Hawaii. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah. Can you give me a second though?
Yeah.
I hate to, you don't have Trey, you don't have the conquistador. I hate to be the third guy, but I'm going to have to bail for a second.
Yeah. Well, while you're doing that, I'll knock out some more conquistador tunes.
He's got questions because he wants to know everything and anything, anything for the show. They call him Conquistador Rob, the only man we allow to ask questions on the podcast, and he's back for more because he's a conquistador.
So this right here, friends, while he's gone, I'm going to talk about this. Uh-oh. Oh, wow. So we may get gigged on YouTube for that.
I try to keep it short.
Yeah. And I was going to talk about something real quick, David, and I don't mean to rain on your parade, but give me just one moment. So, friends, this right here is a video that was done by Adam the Woo. Adam was the guy that got me doing YouTube videos, and Adam sadly passed away just before Christmas. And I did a video on my main channel about Adam and about this photograph where he was at the Matterhorn, and in his thumbnail, he decided to put up a cross with Jesus on it instead of a picture of the Matterhorn. So if you get a chance to go over there and watch that, pop over there and take a look at that. And if you get a chance to watch Adam the Woo videos, by all means do, because you will be well informed. He does a great job, and he will be very, very missed. And by the way, David is a pastor as well. And so, but we didn't bring you here to talk about that. Clearly, David is wanting to talk about Hawaii, as we can see. And so, David, you recently went to Hawaii, and y'all were gone for about 10 days.
Yeah. Yep,
and so you had a real good time. You did all kinds of cool stuff. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, where to start? You know, it's one of those things where, you know, Hawaii was not really something that was on my bucket list, so to speak. I mean, I never had a problem with Hawaii. It's just one of those things that over the years, it's like you hear about it's expensive, it's a long way, you know, it's all that. And so it's like, it wasn't on my list. At the same time, I wasn't opposed to it. So my wife and I had joined a travel club about a year and a half ago. And part of it was you get to have a 7 nights somewhere, you know. And so I figured I could go to Gatlinburg or I could go to Orlando. I'm like, Hawaii was on the list. Well, it also happens that my wife's birthday is on December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day. So she's taken a ribbing all her life, you know, based on, oh, you're Pearl Harbor Day, baby. You know? Yeah. And that's not exactly the best day to be born. The day we always talked about it'd be wild to go and visit the place, you know, that was kind of your birthday history. And so this kind of came together, and I'm like, you know what, let's do it. And so we planned a trip to Hawaii, which was, again, not on our list, but we went, and man, I'm going to tell you, you go to places and you see postcards of what it's going to be like. You've probably been to places and you get there and you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
And they don't really match up to what your expectations are. But this trip, man, Oahu, we were on the island of Oahu, which is where Pearl Harbor is, where Waikiki is, where Elvis spent a lot of time. And it's where they filmed shows like Magnum P.I. on this island and Hawaii Five-0. So it just exceeded our expectation in every way. And so even the things that might have been a little bit negative on the trip were nothing compared to the fact that it overcompensated by just the experience that we had there in every way. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It was, I think we were there from like the 3rd through the 10th, but we, you know, when you book your flights, you got to think about, okay, where am I going to fly to and how far? It's like, if you were to fly straight there, it's probably like 9 or 10 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you've taken those long flights to Europe, and I have as well. Yeah. And you could do it, and you save some time by doing it, you know, but then you're like, it's almost like you're spent by the time you get to the end of the flight. So when I was booking the flight to Hawaii, I noticed I could have a layover in LA, and I'd never been to California. You've been there several times, and you know, it's one of those places you see on TV and in the movies, and everybody's moving away from there now, but it's still a beautiful place and an interesting place for sure. So when I was booking the flights, I'm like, well, I'm strange this way. Like if I see a layover that's going to be 3 hours, I'm like, I just assume the layover be for 9 or 10 or 12 or 15. And that way we could actually enjoy visiting LA, which is what we did. And so both ways we had like 13, 14, 15 hour layovers, which meant that we could spend literally a day looking around. So we did that on the way over and on the way back as well. So we, again, I don't know if I'll ever get back to Hawaii or LA. So we're like, let's just do this together, and then we can check it off of the list. And it was LA is overwhelming as well. You know,
Mhm.
it's
What all did you went down to Groom, the Chinese Theater, and all that?
Mhm.
Hollywood Boulevard. Okay.
Yeah, and as you told me, when we went by Grauman's Chinese Theater, they were doing some sort of an opening for a movie or
Yeah.
something. Like it was blocked off; you couldn't go in. So
I have never been there
Yeah.
one time, and I've been to LA a lot. I've never been there one time that I could walk up in there and see the handprints and footprints ever.
isn't that wild?
It's been
Which was
blocked
really
off
kind of the only
every
reason we went
time.
down there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot to see there, but that's like, and that's something that I think if you could see all those, you're seeing a lot of things at one time. You're seeing so
Yeah.
much of history, but not to happen. And so we enjoyed it. We saw kind of the Hollywood side of LA that first when we went on the way over. And I think if I were to say something about LA, and I don't know what your experience was, but I've always heard about the traffic and all that. Man, it is like it's the worst traffic. It's I'm not even sure why exactly, but something you can look on your GPS and it says you're 8 miles away, and then you look down and it says that's going to be 42 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like what? And you're like that's got to be wrong, and then you realize you're sitting a lot, and so I say that to say this. Like we enjoyed ourselves that day, but it was a whirlwind because we didn't realize how much time we'd be spending sitting in traffic. So I'd like to go back when I could take a week there and go visit all the sites because I want to see where the station house for emergency was, where they pulled out every show, and Andy Griffith, all that stuff. Yeah, and you just can't do that on a day. It's just impossible.
Did you? I never did ask you. Did you go look at that James Dean thing I told you about just down the street?
No, I went by there, but the traffic was pretty crazy, and so I didn't actually get down there to that. But I know I saw the road as we went by.
Yeah,
and and then you come back from a place like that, and I'm watching old TV shows, and I'm like, I'm recognizing names of streets and all that, and they're because you had places like Adam 12 and Emergency, they were using real street names, Chips, those were real places, and so you're starting to think and the surrounding area, you're seeing canyons, and you're like, that looks like they could have filmed right there, that canyon, because some kid hanging off of a helicopter on the side of the cliff or something.
Did you go to Brunson? Or no, Franklin Canyon?
I did. We went over there. Did not get all the way down to the river, or lake, like you said, is kind of dry anyway, but we didn't make it all the way down there. But I did fly the drone to that area, so it was
okay.
It was good.
Now, where he's talking about is the opening for the Andy Griffith show was filmed there, and when I mean, there's 1,000 things. Part of Kid Galahad was filmed there. Whenever the Brady's would go camping on the lake, it was there. Those kinds of things. Yeah,
$6 million man.
There.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Walton's everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
And the funny thing about that was it was right on the edge of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Like you literally have to go through Beverly Hills to get to that. And it's like wild to think about because I always thought of Beverly Hills as being like an exclusive area. But there was a time, and I guess still is, when there were just TV filming crews and everything running through there on a daily basis, which is kind of strange to me to think about. But it's a beautiful area. So anyway, we did that, and I stayed at the Marina Del Rey that night and went back and flew the next morning. And if you've got the time, if you can take an extra day or two, not only did we get to see LA, but we hadn't had a 10-hour flight. So the next day we only had a 6-hour flight to Oahu. So that's still a good distance over the water. But got there, and I'm telling you, man, it's just beautiful. It's just picturesque as you see and think about it. And I can understand why they wanted to film there on the Elvis movie, and also those other TV shows. It's just, and I try to think about how different it would have been 50, 60 years ago, when those things were being filmed, because we stayed on Waikiki, which is kind of a barrier island to Oahu, just outside of Honolulu. And of course it's built up like crazy. But I try to think about what it must have been like in 1957, 8, 9, 61 and those times. So, but it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Now, something that and David flew the drone in where the hotel was, where Elvis stayed, the presidential suite, the Elvis suite. And something that just hit me that I should have told you to look for is during the Aloha from Hawaii stuff, was that 73? Or is it 72? Man, stuff runs together. I'm
73, I think.
I'm gonna say 73, but that may not be right. Dean Nicopolis told me that Elvis he would go up on the roof of the place and they would get tinfoil, and he would sit in a chair and hold the tinfoil like that on the roof of that hotel to get tanned.
Yeah.
And so when you see him in the Aloha concert, he's really dark. And that's why, because he was on the roof of that hotel with holding tinfoil. Yeah. So it'd be interesting. You may have flown high enough to get that. I don't know.
You may have.
That's something you may be able to make a short video with. But he flew the drone, and he went in and did all the stuff where he points with arrows. He stayed here. He did that. Sadly, you never got in the room, but you got everywhere but inside the room. Yeah, somebody was staying in it at the time.
That's right. Somebody was there. So, but it's one of those things that makes you think, okay, next time.
Yeah, tell them how they could find that.
Yeah, so the tower that he was staying in was the Ali'i Tower.
I'm talking about on YouTube.
What's that?
On YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. Yeah, on my website, on my channel. You can find it there. Just go to Good Stuff on YouTube, and you'll see the whole video. Actually, on that video, I show where the helicopter was. There's some footage of probably like 15 minutes of him getting off the helicopter for that Aloha, and a lot of people were down there at the point. Welcoming him in. I think they said maybe 1,000 people, something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I lined it up to see, because there's not a helipad there anymore. It's a parking lot. So I was having to figure out where he had actually landed and where the barriers would have been to hold the people back. And you can see the Rainbow Tower where he would have stayed for that tour or for that stop. You can see the Rainbow Tower. You can also see the Diamond Head Crater, which is the famous, if you see anything from, I'd say, Blue Hawaii or anything, you see that kind of looks like a mountain at the end of the beach, and it's a crater, and so it's a famous shape. So it's like what you put on all the keychains and all that.
Yeah, volcano. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can see that in the background when he's walking away from the helicopter, and I can kind of see where he would have been. So I matched that up. I flew the drone to show the track that he would have taken from the helicopter to the hotel, and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's good stuff. And
but tell them how to find it. It's Good Stuff what? Because there's a lot of channels that say Good Stuff.
Yeah, but this is the only one that has, I think the only one that has that. But Good Stuff Videos, that's my phrase, Good Stuff Videos. And you can find that on YouTube. And it's good. If you type in Good Stuff YouTube, you're probably going to find me. But Good Stuff Videos, if you look up Elvis Hawaii,
okay.
I'm probably one of the more frequent or one of the more recent ones on there. So, yeah, and we can even link to it, I guess, on here at some point.
I'll put a link down.
I can comment in there and link it
in the description.
Yeah. So it's but there were a lot of places that he was in Hawaii. Obviously, you know that, and even on Oahu, he did multiple concerts there. He was there for Pearl Harbor, the Arizona Memorial. He did a lot of things there. So it's rich. I can't wait for you to go. You'll have a great time. And
you went to the memorial, right?
I did go to the memorial, yes.
On Becky's birthday.
Mm-hmm. Well, we went the day after because all the tickets were taken on the day of. Because it was actually on a Sunday this year, which was what it was originally when that attack took place. So we went the day after, and we went up and he was there's a photo of him right in front of that Arizona Memorial as it was being worked on, I guess, or being built. He's right in front of it. You can see everybody has to walk past that point to get into the memorial.
Well, his fundraiser concert in 62 is what raised the money for that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And did you go to the gymnasium that he played in?
I did not make it to the gymnasium. So we rented a car, but getting around Honolulu was a task. In fact, getting around the island is somewhat easy because there's only so many highways on the island, but they do not have information signs like we do here. So, if you're going down the road, you'll see a blue sign and it'll say there's a Wendy's here and a Pilot gas station here. They don't have any of that. So you have to look for a McDonald's sign. And I don't know if it's because of the policies they have or whatever, but it's not easy to see what you want to see getting off the exits and stuff. So getting around there is a little bit tricky. Plus the GPS is a little sketchy as well. I'm not sure why, but so I didn't make it to all the places I was thinking about and maybe wanting to. But that gymnasium you're talking about, now that I've been there, I can kind of look over and say, okay, I can see how things are. And that gymnasium, I've seen pictures of it. It's classic old school. They've kept it so much to the original. It's really cool to see because not a lot of places do that.
What was the coolest thing that you saw in Hawaii?
Just the scenery. I mean, you drive and we drove. You can drive the whole island on the main freeway, and you can drive the whole thing in less than 5 hours and be back to where you started and see the whole coast basically. And so we split it up over a few days. But every time you're driving and you see this just majestic mountain, just carved out of the ground and the ocean. And then you drive on, you're like, well, that was cool. We should probably go back and see it. And then you drive around the corner, there's another one. And then you drive another half mile, and there's another one. And it's just there everywhere you go. This is not exaggeration. Everywhere you go on that island is just monumental as far as the view goes. And the ocean, mountains, the amount of green there is. We were in December, but it was still tropical. It was 80 degrees while we were there. So just the views were amazing. They have these lookout points where you pull off, like you might see when you're going through the Smokies or down on the beach. And these pull-offs are just phenomenal. And again, like I said, it's like you're like, this really is a postcard. This is everything. And again, I've been to places where you're like, I can't even believe I went there. That was such a letdown. But this is not a letdown at all. And of course, we were only on one island. We saw a bunch of food trucks. The food truck industry basically started in Hawaii. I actually met one of the men that was kind of in the beginnings of the food truck industry there. And when I say food trucks, these are like, they're serving shrimp and lobster and everything out of these food trucks, and on paper plates. So it's a very interesting feel that way. We went to it's a cemetery basically for all the Pacific and the Hawaiians that have given their lives and sacrificed in the military. It's military cemetery is what it is. And it's in a crater. It's called the Punch Bowl Crater. And it is the most picturesque cemetery I've ever seen in my life. And when you see Hawaii 5-0 at the beginning, there's a statue, a white statue that the camera kind of goes pop, 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 and comes in close real quick on it. It's in that cemetery. And so I wanted to see some of those things from that Hawaii 5-0 beginning. As a matter of fact, when I was on the beach filming the Elvis stuff with my drone, I was down there. I could also film that, on the Hawaii 5-0, when it comes in on Jack Lord, there's like a helicopter that comes in on him on a hotel balcony. I was able to figure out which one that was. And I flew up into that. And I actually got over there. I haven't released that video yet, but I hung up in the balcony looking out, and you can kind of see what he would have seen. So that was kind of cool. But that was only 4 or 5 hotels away from the Hawaiian Hilton Village. So that I imagine that whole crowd back in the day, they enjoyed themselves in Hawaii, and they knew themselves. Like you told me that he and Jack Lord, Elvis and Jack Lord, they were friends. And and spent time
Jack
together.
was at the Aloha concert, and Elvis would go to Jack's house. I think Jack gifted him a banjo, from my memory, and there's got to be a banjo in the archives at Graceland that Jack Lord gave Elvis. You can imagine. Now, the definition of perfect pitch.
Yes.
The sound it makes when it hits the inside of a dumpster.
Yes, perfect.
You know what you call a banjo player with a beeper? An optimist. So anyway,
that's brutal.
I hope there's no banjo players listening.
You'll know soon enough. Oh man. We went to a luau. I'll tell you how I cheated on this thing. Okay. So when we go somewhere, I don't usually take tour buses, but I kept seeing these tour buses that would take you around the whole island, and they would do it in a day. And you would see, you would stop at 7 different locations, Macadamia Nut Farm, the Dole Plantation factory is there. You'll see, they'll take you to coffee and all these different places and super cool places to see turtles and things like that. So I started studying their itinerary because they tell you exactly what they're going to do on their trip. And I'm like, I mean, I would do that. But the problem is with me, and you're probably the same way, like I wouldn't be able to stick to their schedule. You know, they're taking 25, 30, 50 people. Like they need you to be on the bus at this time. And I'm sorry, it's just not, I don't want to hold everybody up because you'll have to leave me. And so we just studied it. And I said, you know, if we rent a car, we could do all this and take our time and do the same thing. Now, the prices they had, if you want to go and you just want to ride those Circle Island tours, man, they are the ticket. You know, it's not very much money. And you get to see a lot of different places in one day, and that's all cool. But what we did is I found those places, so we started going around hitting those, and we would just leisurely take our time. And so we saw the same tours they did, but at our own pace. And so that's what I would encourage somebody. If you, and you know, you get to drive and you get to see things that aren't on their itinerary as well. So that's kind of how I found some of these places. And I'm putting out some videos on each of these locations so people can watch them and say, hey, I'd like to spend some time at that place. The Dole Plantation, for instance, I mean, wow, we went in there and it was like a Buc-ee's of pineapple stuff. I mean, they've merged pineapple with everything, you know, candies and everything. So it was a big store, but they had all sorts of flavors and you could test and try things. And you go out in the plantation and they have a huge maze that's in the shape of a pineapple that people can walk through like we would have here during Halloween or something, or the fall. So that was, you know, I don't know how much time they would have allowed us there, but Becky spent a lot of time walking around that place and enjoying the flowers and everything else. So we did not have a single disappointing day while we were there. They have good surfing there, which I don't surf, but it's fun to watch them. And again, the drone, I was really testing out that new drone. Boy, it was amazing. And I don't know if you experience this. You probably do. When you're flying your drone at a place where there are a lot of people, somebody's going to come up and talk to you about it. You know, like, hey, is that the such and such? And I had people saying, is that the such and such drone? Or, and so it's a good conversation starter, meeting people. And so that was fun doing that. And of course I had barely been using it, but they must have thought I was a professional. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But it was very windy out in the beaches and stuff. So I was kind of worried about that because that drone is only, 249 grams, right? But man, it stabilizes like a champ. And it's, as a matter of fact, I was showing somebody, I had the remote control there and I brought the drone in and they knew how windy it was because their hair was blowing, their clothes were blowing. But I said, look at that. It's just steady. And you know, the thing is doing that. And so that was a cool thing. It's fun to travel and meet people from different countries and different places. And that's one of those places where we met people from Japan, Canada, Australia. So that's one of those like international locations to go to. Very interesting place though. Very interesting. The people there, it's the most non-American state I've ever been to in my life. And what I mean by that is they've done an incredible job of holding on to their culture. You know, you think about a luau and that really reaches back into their heritage, but they don't just live it in the luau. They basically live it there all the time, you know? And so even like young people who have been, of course, they've been a state since 59, but young people, teenagers and 20 somethings, they still have an accent as if they're from their past, you know? So that's, that was very interesting.
1948.
48. Okay. 48.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
I didn't want somebody jumping on there and go, hey.
Here's what I say. I say do something that's outlandishly wrong. That'll keep them busy.
That's good. Yeah.
But it was interesting. And you could tell they were friendly, but you could tell they really cared about their own tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't offensive. You know, you still felt like an outsider. As a matter of fact, there are parts of that area that are still very Asian, Polynesian / Asian. And you would go through some parts of Honolulu in different areas and you would think, you would forget you were in America because of the way the buildings were and the way the things were kept up and all that. And the smells even, you would forget that you were in a United States of America state, which was weird. So if somebody wanted to visit, maybe they don't want to go to another country for whatever reason, but they want to have the experience of being in another country, I would say that Hawaii would be a good option for you because you get a lot of the comforts of home, but you still get to experience firsthand what it would be like to be in some other Polynesian or Southeast Asian island. And that was really, that was really cool. If you like that kind of thing, which I do.
So what was the food like?
The food was so a lot of fresh food, and a lot of their own food, which consists of a pineapple, coconut milk, all the things that you would imagine. A lot of nuts, macadamia nuts, and chocolates and things like that. They have their own kind of pastries. I don't like a lot of different kinds of food. I'm a meat and three kind of guy. Becky loves to try a bunch of stuff. So she was trying different things. But even things like shrimp, we're from the coast. They had their own seasonings, which was different. And it was good. But I would try some of that because I felt like I was safe with seafood because that's what I grew up around. But it was different. It was very islandish, kind of goes without saying, Hawaii is like 2,000 miles from LA. 2,000 miles.
You don't realize how far it is out there.
Yeah.
And it's below the equator, right? It's way down.
It's way down. I don't think it's below the equator. But it's down enough to where it was 80 degrees in December. I can tell you that. And it was, so it's 2,000 miles away. This is one of the things I want to talk about because whenever I heard about Hawaii, I always thought it was expensive, and it is expensive. Okay. In some ways it's crazy expensive, but now that I've been there and I've had to think about it, it makes sense. Like they're 2,000 miles away. So anything they would bring in, which is a lot of stuff, anything they bring in is going to be shipped in. I'm not talking about by, Estes or Southeastern carriers. It has to be literally shipped in on containers. And so when you think about that, it's like, okay, I mean, it still might be expensive, but I can't be mad about it. I'm out here 2,000 miles away from everything. And so it wasn't outrageously, if you're cheap, then you're going to think it's crazy, outlandishly expensive. But it wasn't that much more expensive to eat at IHOP or, some of the restaurants there. It was a little bit more, but again, thinking about how far everything has to come, it made sense. So it's going to be an expensive trip, but for what you get for it, it's, to me, it's worth, if you can make the sacrifice, it's worth the sacrifice to experience that place.
There's a big shipping cost to everything. That's a long ways. We ship parts and stuff out there to Hawaii, and it's quite expensive. It's about $75 more to ship a pump there than any other state. They're in Alaska than any other state. Yeah.
And I think probably I've never been to Alaska. Like I can see myself going, not because I really want to, but just because the opportunity may arise and I'll take it, whether on a cruise or something like that. I've heard of a lot of people that are friends who say, man, I know you don't think so, but trust me, if you take a cruise to Alaska, it's amazing scenery as well, glaciers and all that stuff. But I would imagine that the culture there is probably similar as far as kind of holding on to that Alaskan Indian culture themselves. But the concentration of people on an island makes it a bigger deal than if you had so many people spread out over Alaska, for instance. But it was pretty crazy. And I've heard, I didn't check it out really because I knew we had plans for that island for that week. But I've heard that they have a really good system of jumping, planes that go from one island to another to plane hop between islands. So I think I found that Elvis had a home on one of the other islands. So if you wanted to go there, you could just hop on one of those planes. Like in Europe, they have a really good system for getting you from one country to another. It's pretty cheap. So I think the same thing happens in Hawaii for those islands as well.
I heard it was like $60 or $70 to jump to another island.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And I don't know anything, honestly, about the Elvis story there other than just the basics. So I don't know if he had another house. Now, I remember when he took Ginger, which would have been April of 77, so March or April of 77. They did they had a house that they went to that they didn't stay at that house, but there was a pool and they would go there and hang out. But I don't know if it was on another island or not.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. I think what I've read, and of course I'm not a historian, but what I've read, it was a different island. I don't remember the name of it, but I can imagine. And the other islands I don't think are as highly populated, so they're probably more exclusive or whatever as far as who lives there. But they had some volcano action going on while we were there. We didn't see it because that's on a different island. But man, it was pretty awesome. We had a great view in Waikiki from our hotel room. But again, things are expensive there. I'm not going to lie. But it's one of those things where I always thought of it as a once in a lifetime trip, which it might very well be. And how our philosophies are kind of the same. Like, you're only here one time, and I'm not going to be crazy, but I'm also not going to be skimping when I realize this is my life, man. And
I'm going to do it all while I'm there if I can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, kind of the philosophy you mentioned earlier, like we make it so the other person can enjoy the things they enjoy. And, and I don't want to come back. They had these helicopter rides, and to ride in the helicopter for an hour was going to be like $500, which again, that's not crazy. It's Hawaii. And how many times are you going to do that? I mean, we go up in helicopters in Gatlinburg and it's nice, but I imagine the Hawaii without the doors on it is a pretty good helicopter ride.
Yeah.
But I had a drone, and so it's not me in the air, but I can see the same things and have some fun doing that. But, they set it up to where you can enjoy yourself there. And I don't know. It's I'm glad we went for sure. I could see going back. I would like to go back with friends though. Like I would like for it to be a group thing. Maybe instead of getting a hotel, maybe get a Airbnb or a cottage somewhere and, enjoy it that way, a little bit far away from the city area. I think that would be cool. But I can definitely see why they chose to film that movie there and those TV shows. Shoot.
Yeah. He had a bunch of movies. He had Blue Hawaii and Paradise Hawaiian Style. What else? Seemed like there's another one. Of course, the Aloha stuff. And so he spent a lot of time there.
And you can see that people, you can see remnants of his being there. By the way, you'll hear people talk about it. You'll see placards or things like that.
Did you run into the Hawaiian Elvis, Don Ho?
I did not. So it's cool.
Remember, he was in the Brady Bunch episode.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure they filmed there too, didn't they? They went to Hawaii and they had that whole little
tiki thing. Yeah. Yeah. Greg still sells those tikis. Barry Williams.
Oh wow.
He sells them on eBay. He sure does.
Yeah.
He has the original. He said from the movie.
Oh wow. Now, that would be cool.
He had them made. The duplicates of it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to LA real quick. What did you see on the first time you went? What did you see that was your favorite? And then when you went back?
The first time, I'll be honest with you, we on our way from Hollywood area to Marina del Rey, we stopped at the Santa Monica Pier. Have you been out there?
Yeah.
We stopped there and it was literally at sunset. And it was just amazing. So
that's
if anybody
the Pacific Coast Highway, Malibu. Just before Malibu. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't know,
remember the hills right there behind it from It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, where Caesar, what's his name? Sid
Romero.
Caesar. No, Caesar. It's not. That's not right. Neither one of those are right. It's Sid Caesar was in the movie, but that's not the character. This is the old guy that came down, the cop that played the cop, and he came down and he turned. He was chasing them, and that is right there. So you're actually up there in Santa Monica is up, and then the Santa Monica Pier is down.
That's right.
Santa Monica's over your head.
Yes.
And that's also close to where Elvis and Priscilla got their divorce in at the Santa Monica courthouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All the photos are from that courthouse, right?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then if you went down towards Malibu and turn right where the Pacific Palisades fires were, did you go up there and look?
No, we didn't go up there.
Okay, because that's where the meditation gardens are.
Okay.
So if you go down, if you leave the pier and go, it would be north on the Santa Monica Pacific Coast Highway. It's not but maybe a mile and a half. And on your right, you go up the hill, and that's where the meditation gardens were that Elvis ended up naming his the meditation gardens. But back there is where the Pacific Palisades, where all the houses burned.
Gotcha. Yeah, we did go by.
Where you were.
Gotcha. We went by that on the way when we were coming back. Didn't really realize where that was exactly. We were trying to get out of LA, and that's only barely out of LA, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
In case anybody doesn't know, the Santa Monica Pier is not just a fishing pier. It is an entertainment mecca. They have plenty of restaurants. They have sections of the pier where they have buskers, so they have people performing music or selling crafts. They have a carnival there with a huge Ferris wheel and other rides, little mini roller coaster. It's a place where people gather to just enjoy a Saturday or whatever. And it was also in some movies and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very large pier. I mean, you could drive several vehicles down it beside each other. So that was really cool. And of course, it was at sunset, so it kind of the timing was just right for us to really have a nice evening. And that was kind of a kickoff to our week, you know, because the next morning we would fly out. But it was a nice night, and you're right over the ocean. It was just really cool. And then we ate dinner there as well. But I think that was probably my highlight. I mean, I did like flying the drone over the canyon because, again, you see things on TV and you don't really understand the scope and how large things are. You know, we were driving through Hollywood and you're seeing these, you know, you look at this whole block or 2 blocks are just, you know, they film things in there. There's studios. Like you said, the Grauman's Chinese Theater, you look up, there's a Hollywood sign, you know, and that's something that we didn't have a chance to go see. But now that I kind of was there, I kind of have an idea if I go back, like, you know, you take a day and you go up into that area and you just spend the whole day going up to the sign and different things. And then again, you look it up. And the cool thing about today, I don't know how it was 40 years ago, but you're sitting in your car and you can pull up, you know, where was the, you know, in the Chips TV show, they have the helicopter flying over their main building there, their main station. And you can just type in, where was that? And it will tell you where it is. You know, I don't know how people did it 40, 50 years ago. I guess they were just stopping. Hey, can you tell me where you But it's just so easy. And then you can kind of map yourself out, which I use ChatGPT to actually plan that day to tell me, you know, I said, I want to see this, this, and this. And it would tell me, okay, you got to go here. I'm like, but I want to make it leisurely. And then I said, okay, so here's how you do that. And what if I want to grab something to eat? And it started giving me, and you can get your ChatGPT to just plan out your whole trip that way. And it says, do you want to look at this on Google Maps? And I'm like, you betcha. And so if there's any travel advisors out there, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take your business, but I'm telling you, and you know this, you can get so specific with that thing. It's like, wow. And it'll say this such and such a show was filmed here and so-and-so lived there. And so it was pretty cool.
It'll lay it all out. It's amazing what it'll do.
So I think that evening was super nice to kick it off. On the way back, we actually took a car and we went driving up the Pacific Coast Highway, you know, for probably a couple hours or more. And
So you went north or south?
North.
Okay. Yeah. So you went through Malibu then?
Yes.
Okay. So you had to see some of the houses where they burned.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah, you know what? Coming back, I think I did because I was looking up at the mountains as we came through that up on the left. The ocean was on the right and that was up on the left, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, as a matter of fact, when we came through here, I don't know what it was that made me think of that, but I did think, hey, that's where those houses burn. And I thought about the fact that, you know, those are multi-gazillion dollar houses.
Oh, yeah.
Those people have problems too, you know, I'm sure. Yeah. Even if they're rich, they don't want to lose their house.
Yeah. Those waterfront houses are millions of dollars.
Yes.
And and so when you were coming back south, heading back towards San Diego, or not San Diego, but Santa Monica and all that, the Pacific Palisades will be on your left. And of course, you're driving through Malibu on the highway is Malibu. And then when you turn left and go up into the hills on Mulholland and all that, that's Pacific Palisades up in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also there's a huge ranch out there. I forget what it's called right now, but there's a huge ranch as you're driving north away from LA, and you don't even know what's around you until you actually look and pull it up. And it'd be great if there was an app where you could see that. but you look up and it's all of a sudden you find out there's a ranch that they rent out that ranch for filming TV shows, movies, etc. So Little House on the Prairie was filmed there.
Paramount ranches out there, and there's several different ones. And I filmed at most of those, and Elvis filmed at a lot of them. Yeah,
right.
That's back up in Mulholland. When you start getting up in there, up in there, you'll get to those ranches. Yeah, Paramount's got one, and Well, Trey and I filmed at both of those. There's a couple of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. MASH was filmed at that. I think that's Paramount from my memory. So we filmed there. There's a little village, but most of it burned. There was a little, it was a little like a Western town, and a lot of the Chuck Norris films were filmed there. But most of the buildings are gone. Most of them are burned down and they're gone, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I said, I think it's not a burning desire, but I would enjoy going back to LA and just spending a little more time.
Yeah.
Going to those places that I grew up with, on TV. Because look, I never lived there, but I felt like I did. I mean, you start listening to the shows you watch, the ones that are based in LA, Adam 12, Chips, Emergency, those places, like you literally grew up, and I knew more about those streets than I did when I was a kid than where I actually lived. Yeah. And so it makes it real. It makes it fun because you have a connection. And even like the geography of it, like you said, going up the Pacific Coast Highway, for instance, it's not too long before you start to realize how that's where they film those Westerns, man. Mm-hmm. You don't think about LA and Westerns, you don't think about Hollywood and Westerns, except for that they made Hollywood movies there, but you don't think like, where'd they go to film? And you get out there and there's just these canyons and they're not like lush, green, beautiful. They're brown, dusty looking hills, and they have character. And then you start to say, hey man, if I didn't have this interstate right here, I could see exactly how the wagon train came across here, And so I like that aspect of it because it kind of shocks you back into, I'll be honest, man, we went through Beverly Hills and there's homeless people in Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Well, if I could be homeless, I'd want it to be in Beverly Hills. It's got good weather.
That's right. We were talking about that because there's homeless people in Hawaii, and I'm like, that's a pretty good gig.
That's a real good gig, yeah. Being homeless and freezing to death, and being homeless and being a little warm at night, that's two different things.
Yeah. This weekend, there's going to be some people who wish they weren't homeless in Nashville.
Yeah.
But we've dealt with the homeless. But no matter where you go, remember Jesus said, "You'll always have the poor among you."
That's right.
And I'm telling you, man, we've been to Hawaii and Beverly Hills, and we've seen homeless and people in trouble in every place. And honestly, there's a lot of people in trouble in those multi-million-dollar homes too. They just don't want to admit it. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard because I think about how we are just enamored with stardom in this country. And growing up, you just have these heroes on TV and how many women wanted to be with Magnum PI, all that kind of stuff. But it's not healthy. I mean, you're an Elvis historian. You know how unhealthy the idolization of celebrity is. And it's too much. It's not just too much for the celebrity. It's too much for the person who's idolizing them because we weren't made to do that. And so
we're made to worship, but we're made to worship God.
That's right.
Jesus. And so a lot of people put those kinds of things in place of God. And I've said it before on this podcast. Elvis was a great entertainer, but he's a lousy God. Don't worship him. He ain't gonna get you there. That's barking up. And people think because I make Elvis videos, I'm somehow worshiping Elvis. It's not that at all. It's for me. It is. I think a lot of it is kind of what you mentioned. You watch those shows, Adam 12. I did too as a kid. And I think when I go to the places and I see those things that I remember seeing in movies and reading about in books and that kind of stuff, it takes me back to my childhood. I think it's probably more that than it is anything for me. Right. And it's the fun of the hunt too. We talk about, Trey and I talk about that some people hunt, some people fish. We hunt stories. And it's not just Elvis. We do James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, things that are pop culture type things that are interesting. And you mentioned all these shows, going to seeing where the Station 51 was and all that kind of stuff. That would be great. It'd be fun to do. Yeah. And another thing is when you go and you physically go to places, you get to see, because it's funny that now if I was talking to you about the Pacific Coast Highway and the Santa Monica Pier and all those kinds of things, and I'd never been there, it doesn't really mean anything to me. It's just words. But I've been to all those places. So when you're talking about it, I go, oh, yeah, well, that's here. I think, and I was telling you that it was Santa Monica is up, but I think that's Pacific Palisades that's up.
Mhm.
And then the hill comes down to Pacific Coast Highway.
Right.
You turn back to your left, and that takes you into Santa Monica. The pier's at the edge of Santa Monica, head towards Malibu.
Yes.
And where the Rockford Files was filmed, where the trailer was past the Santa Monica Pier, maybe a half a mile on the left, not very far.
South?
Yeah. South, north. It'd be north.
Okay.
So if you came from the pier and turned left and went up Santa Monica, Pacific Coast Highway, it'd be that way, head towards Malibu. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I've been to those places. So when you're telling me, I'm like, oh, yeah, it all makes sense. I've been there enough now that I know how to get around. And what's that? You would have passed by the big college that is on the right, and it overlooks the Pacific. You drove, it's right there on the Pacific Coast Highway. It's on your right. What is that? You passed it.
Yeah.
It was on your right. If you went north.
Yep.
On the Pacific Coast, let's see. What is the college that overlooks the Pacific on the Pacific Coast Highway?
It's a great time to live, brother.
Man, it is. It is Pepperdine.
Pepperdine. Yeah. Pepperdine.
Yeah. So you passed Pepperdine. It'd been on your right, overlooking the highway.
And of course, my connection with them would have been watching them play basketball all those years. That's a very unusual name, So it's cool to connect. I think the connecting part is what we're talking about. We end up connecting with those things that we only knew about in our imagination, and on television, which is kind of an extension of our imagination. But then to actually be in those places and go, wow, they drove on these roads, and it makes it more real, even though it's fictional television, maybe, but it makes it real because they were reflecting their culture and their generation. They were telling real stories on, especially those police shows, and Dragnet was LA too. Dragnet was based on. So that it's one of those places where you feel like, man, some of the worst things that we've ever experienced in our culture came out of this town, and also some of the coolest things we've ever experienced as a culture came out of the same place. And that's why, it's not, something is not evil in itself. It's how it's used oftentimes, And so a knife can save a life, or a knife can take a life. And cities and areas are like that. And Hollywood is one of those places, man. It's been a lot of bad stuff came out of Hollywood, still does. At the same time, a lot of people have experienced a lot of different things because they were able to travel to all these places that they'll never go to. And that's really cool. I think for me, if I'm going to say something that would be negative about Hawaii, it's one of those places that I would visit. I would definitely visit again. I would definitely do that, but I would not want to live there. The main reason for me would be you are so far away from family and friends. Like it's going to be, number one, it'd be expensive for anybody to come visit you. And for you to visit them, it's not just expensive, it's time consuming. And so it's not like you can say, hey, let's go see the grandkids this weekend. Unless you're Bill Gates or something like that, And so you're really isolated out there. Now, it's a great place to be isolated if that's what you want, but it would change your lifestyle as far as your interaction with family. And as much as I loved that place and still would love to see some of it again, there's nothing there that would be worth trading everything I have here to be there all the time, if that makes sense. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying when it comes down to it, as great as that place, it's really paradise. I mean, you could say that. There's no place like home. As somebody from Hollywood once said.
So how about the time shift? Because you're going, I'm going to Europe, you're going forward. So when you get there, a lot of times you get, what my experience has been, you get off the plane, it's 8:00 in the morning. If you sleep, you just wake up and that's your day starts, but you're going backwards. You're going in the other direction. And I've had jet lag going from North Carolina to Las Vegas. There's times when it's 4 hours difference or 3 hours difference.
Right.
And so that can create, but I mean, you're going 2,000 more miles. What is it? 8 hours difference backwards?
Yes.
Maybe more than that.
You're actually going towards the past because you're gaining time back, but your body feels like you're still in the same time zone. I don't really, jet lag doesn't affect me too much. I'm not sure why exactly. I'm pretty hyped up when I go to a place like that. I'm amped up, man. I want to be up the whole time. So I was waking up in the middle of the night. The most difficult thing was remembering that if it was a certain time there, it was a lot different here. I think it was a 5-hour difference or something like that. So it's like the same.
How far a difference? It's got to be more than 5 hours.
Well, the actual time is 5 hours difference, but it takes longer to get there than 5 hours. So like if it's 1 o'clock there, it's already 6 o'clock here or something like that. It's basically the same as from here to England. It's basically the same, I believe.
Yeah, but see, I figured it would be further than that because, man, I mean, you're 4 hours from east to west coast, and then you're saying it's only one more hour when you get there. How come
no, it's the same because I think it's 5 hours because we already lost Eastern time when we moved into Central time. But I think it's because there's not too much there. They don't break it up too often because there's nobody.
Yeah, but I mean, they have to break the timelines up into equal slices from the top of the earth to the bottom of the earth, around the equator. So I would figure it would be several slices.
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of people think that, but we both know the earth is flat. That may be another podcast.
So
I'm just trying to start some conversation.
And so it may be that it's 2,000 miles, but it's 2,000 miles down.
That's definitely.
Because I think it's adjacent to Mexico more than it is to the United States. As far as if you were looking at the equator left or right, United States is up here, it's down here.
That's right.
Maybe something like that. But I mean, it has to be equal slices from a time zone. There's got to be 24 of them, 24 equal slices around the earth.
Yeah. Well, except the time zones are man-made. So they sometimes, like Indiana, for instance, has weird jut outs and some places don't even change time.
Arizona doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
So that's wild. So I don't know I don't know how they live, but
yeah.
So I'll tell you what boggles my mind is to think about who were the first people to land on that island. Like it's 2,000 miles from here. I don't know how far it is from the Polynesians, but just to think about if you've never been out in the ocean to where you can't see anything but the ocean, you might just think, well, they just kind of floated over there or they just, rode over there. What are the mathematical odds that the first people starting out from America or South America or Central America, starting out just either guiding themselves, not knowing anything about what's out there? What are the mathematical odds that they would land on one of those little islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? It's got to be just astronomical, because even if you went back and forth in a zigzag pattern, like it would take so long, and you're just not even knowing where they are. I guess you're hoping you find somewhere, and then
they had to base everything off of things that they knew were stationary, like the stars. It was the same stars every night, so they had to. That's what they would use that sextant for, to be able to go, okay, that's every night at 10 o'clock it's here. That kind of thing. But then the seasons, things are further away. So, I mean, it's amazing that they could do it back in the day. Now, you don't have to have any knowledge of anything. You can look at your phone. It tells you where you're at.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny too, because, I say it's funny. So some of the first people we met there on the bus after getting from the airport, we were on a bus going to the hotel, and the girls sitting behind us were from Japan. And this is the week of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, where they attacked us. Yeah.
Where they attacked us. So we started talking a little bit broken English. And I said, can I ask you a personal question? And they figured out what I was saying on their phone. They're like, yeah, go ahead. I said, like, what do you think about Pearl Harbor? What do you learn about Pearl Harbor? What do they teach you about Pearl Harbor? And they didn't know what Pearl Harbor was. Yeah. And they were looking at each other trying to, talk about what's he. And I was as clear as I could be. Pearl Harbor. As a matter of fact, we're driving by it right now on the bus. And then finally they started looking up on their phone, and then they were like, oh.
Yeah,
and it was
never dawned on them.
And they didn't even know they were right there. And of course, I probably, unfortunately, you could probably do the same thing with a bunch of American kids anymore, and they wouldn't have a clue what that day was either. Yeah. But it was strange because they are taught about it. And one girl said her response to it was, that's why I do not like war. That event that I learned about, that's why I do not like war at all.
Mm.
And then they turned on me and said, what do you think about it? And I said, well, I said, it's bad. It's awful. It's the worst of humanity, sneaking up on somebody while they're sleeping and attacking them. I said, but looking back, Japan is one of our closest allies. I mean, they're like some of our best friends now in the whole world. And we're very friendly with Japanese and Japanese culture, and we travel back and forth, and we're good friends. And I said, I don't know that would have developed had we not had that other moment that was so horrible. And I said, that generation, really, they hated each other like crazy. But now we don't, which I imagine in those people's better moments, they would have hoped that sometime that we wouldn't hate each other too. And so here we are, we're sitting on a bus riding through, and it's something we are interested in visiting as a memorial. It's something that you don't really even know about that much, but here we are having a good conversation and wanting the best for each other. So Hawaii, historically, Hawaii is pretty amazing. Visually, it's amazing. Just in every way, food, culture, and it was really cool. I didn't wear a grass skirt. That's the only thing I can say is kind of a negative. Next time I go back.
That's probably the most negative thing of all of it.
Can you imagine how many views that video would get?
None. That means that we have 3 minutes left. So what was the Arizona Memorial like?
It was very military because it's in a Navy area. And so it was very military, but they set us up in groups. And before you even go out to it, they have you in a little auditorium, and the guide who works for the National Park Service, he gets up in front and he basically puts it all on the line. He says, guys, I know some of y'all came to see this and to take pictures and to experience this thing that's such a wild experience, but I want you to know this is sacred ground. And basically told us all that we needed to act right. You know what I mean? But he did it in a way that was like, it caused us to think about how important that place was. He said, there's a lot of people who never came up out of there. They're still down there.
Still down there, yeah.
Yeah. And so
did you see the diesel fuel leaking still?
Yes. And it's everything's still rusting there. And the memorial is beautiful. It's a contrast. The memorial is so beautiful above water, and you can look down and see all the thing rusting, and there's people's bodies down in there. And he was basically like, as you go to it, just don't be cutting up. This is not a joyride. You're going to go to a place that people gave their lives for your freedom, etc. And when you come back out, you take pictures and do all that. But when you go in, you need to go in with the right mindset, which I thought was really cool. And I think it probably caused some people to check themselves before they got on the boat. But you go into the one end, and all you see is just names carved into the marble.
So you have to take a boat out there?
You do. You do. And you have to get tickets beforehand. And you better, it's a pretty busy memorial. So we did that. And it's like $7 or $8, something like that. But it's just mainly so they can get you in a group and have tickets. So it was very moving. I just kept looking up into the air and thinking about what it must have been like to see those planes just roaring in there, just taking people out one after another. It happened so quickly. And all the things I enjoyed that weekend, or that week rather, were because of people like that who those kids, man, they were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. They weren't in Hawaii on a vacation. It probably seemed like it in some ways, but they gave their lives there, and they didn't anticipate that at all. And it's a high price, man. And so that was the most moving part, was being there and thinking about all those guys. And crazy.
So you say that that's still military. Are they using that still for ships, and they've just cordoned off this one area?
Yes, there's still ships there. They were. I don't know if they do modifications on ships there or what, but it's still very military. And the guys that were taking us back and forth on the boat, they were Navy, and they were Navy, officers and whatever. So yeah, hey, anybody who's listening right now, my grandfather was in the Navy. He was at D-Day, and man, if you're listening right now, thank you. And we're also losing those people. I mean, look, that generation is just about gone. In fact, there's a parade on that night, and I think she said that there were only 5 left.
Wow.
And they couldn't be there. The one that couldn't be there, he was supposed to be there. He was sick that night or something. So, I mean, I think it was the first time they hadn't had somebody from that group in the parade. So that's how close we are to being gone from that that moment.
Almost erased.
Indeed. Yeah. So we'll keep it alive.
Thank you for coming and telling us about your experiences over there. You guys, if you want to know more, make sure you go to Good Stuff on YouTube. Search Good Stuff Elvis, Good Stuff Hawaii, and you'll find his stuff. I'll put a link down to his channels down in the description area. But make sure that you go check that stuff out. And he's going to put you – I know I've seen the video where you did the Elvis stuff. You know, you're talking about the hotel and the helipad and all that kind of stuff. But you've got a lot of other stuff that will come out in the future. So
yes.
And also go back. He's been making videos a long time. How long have you been doing videos on the YouTube?
2018.
Okay. So it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Wow. That's 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, 8 years.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2026. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so he's got quite a bit of a material there. He likes to travel and show you stuff. And I like to travel and show you stuff. So it's a little bit of stuff. And so if you ever come to the Spa Guy, you'll see David there. Me, not so much, you know, but I'm just kidding. I'm not there as much as I should be, but I try to hang around every now and again. So appreciate you coming, David. And everybody, I'll put David's email there as well if y'all want to reach out to David. And for one thing, reach out and thank him for making it available for me to be able to be away to get the Tiger Man done. Because as I mentioned, I could not have done it without David. He had the con while I was gone, and you know, I was gone quite a bit both of these times in order to do this. So it was not a easy task, and it could not have happened without the one and only David Gould.
Thank you, buddy. Let me take you out to dinner.
Yeah, you know, I owe you a Christmas dinner. And so Lori and I will pull that together very soon. I owe you and Becky a Christmas dinner. December was wild. Anyway, thank y'all so much for coming. This is the WCWAM podcast. Tighten up every chance you get. And
that's some good stuff.